Welcome back to Instinct Radio. This is the Dane and Butler Show. If you're tuned in right now, if you want to log on, you want to see us live, you can check us out at Instinct Radio. You can download the app at Google Play. You can go on www.instinctradio.net and you can see us live in the studio. This is not a station where you call. I'm not in my bedroom coming up with bright ideas. This is an actual studio. And we have actual people in here that nobody's related to me. These are people that are very active in the community and definitely making a conscious effort to move forward. Right now, I got 3 brothers that have, agreed to join us on the show. And the list goes on in reference to some of the things they have accomplished, some of the organizations that they're in charge of, and what it is that they're doing in our community. So what I like to do is have these brothers to introduce themselves and what they're doing, and let's jump into it.
My name is Joe Ajimang. I'm here in support of not only the Dan Butler Show, but also the Adulfo Coalition and the entire family that's here with us today. It's really, really good to be here. I really feel empowered. Me, myself, I'm a race man. I'm for our people 100%. And wherever I have to be, whether it's on the north side, south side, east side, or west side, wherever I can be to support any movement that's helping to enlighten our people, I try my best to be there, if not in physical, in spirit. And I like to say a Bibi Fahodie.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Could you pronounce your name again, and could you give people the meaning of your name?
Absolutely. My name is Joe Ajimang, and Joe is spelled Kwadwo, and Ajimang is spelled Agyemang. And Joe means unconquerable. Ajimang is savior of a nation. And we all have to be saviors of our people by doing our work in our families, in our communities, and most of all in our own lives. The name Joe Ajimang derives from the Akan tribe of West Africa. The language of the Akan is of Twi, and it's spelled Twi, but it's pronounced Twre. And I acquired my name through studying with the elder Baba Mwalimu Baruti, who has a home-based school, an African home-based school institution here in Atlanta on the west side. And I was actually incarcerated where I met the elder, and we started writing. And he started sending me a lot of books and information, and I started getting more cultural knowledge and information about who we are as a people. And I decided to take on Joe because in the Akan tribe, Duoda is the name for Monday. And I was born on Duoda. So in the Akan tribe, you acquire the name based on the day that you come into being. And Ajimang was chosen by the elder Mwalimu Baruti, who was doing a magnificent and black and powerful work in the community. And to the elder, I do pay much homage and respect and due diligence.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
Most definitely.
Greetings, Abibi Fahodie, Black Power. I'm your brother Sancho Kwabena, one of the founders and the director of the Adulfo Coalition. First of all, let me say I want to give thanks to the all-powerful, all-knowing, all-present Creator for giving me the power to speak today. I want to give thanks to my Adulfo Coalition family, and I want to give thanks to my blood family for making me the man that I am today. So to salute to all my family out there. My name is Sankofa. It's spelled Sankofa, Kwabena, Kwabena. Sankofa is from the Akan language. It is a Adinkra symbol. It means to reach back and fetch it. It is never too late to reach back and find your history so that you can rebuild the future. Kwabena means simply, also from the Akan language, it means born on Tuesday. But Kwabena is actually, it's a deeper meaning to that. Kwabena is actually from Kemet. It's one of the Neters. It's for Heru Behudet, and it's also one of the Orishas. It represents the god, the great god of iron and war, Ogun. So I'm one of the founders, director of Adulfo Coalition, and I want to give thanks to you, brother, for allowing me to come here today. Thank you.
I appreciate your presence.
Greetings. My name is Enguvu, Brother Enguvu, and you spell it Nguvu, and it is a West African name, it means powerful brother. I'm also the author of the book, The 7 Principles for Raising Black Sons. It's a practical hand guide for single black mothers. It is a book that teaches single black mothers how to interact and raise their sons better. It teaches 7 powerful lessons on how to do that. You can find the book at Amazon.com. It is a next level publication, and I am also one of the founders of Adulfo Coalition, a self-defense program that is based out of the west side of Atlanta.
Okay, you know what? And I'm glad you touched on that, and I'm glad you completed this work of art. This would be our first book that will be in the Danon Butler Book of the Week. It's the 7 Principles for Raising Black Sons, and it could be after when the show is done. We'll let you know again where you can get this. This is my copy right here. I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna get back with you, man, because principles are something that I definitely stand on, and I'm always, happy to gain something. If I'm not growing mentally, then I'm not growing. I'm not existing. I'm not putting nothing out. And while we're on books, let's just jump right into education, man. And I have a list of things that I want to talk about, but they only give me 2 hours. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna touch on some stuff, man. I feel like in my personal life, education has been a life changer for me, and it wasn't just reading a book. It was just being able to define myself and to articulate who I am and what I am to myself first. And then when I was able to look myself in the mirror and see who I actually was, I began to look at the world in a different way. So we started right here. Let's start right here, brother. Tell us how you feel about education and what you think needs to be done.
Definitely. Education is something that we believe. First off, I want to let everybody know that these brothers right here, all of us, we're very, very revolutionary. Mm-hmm. We're very revolutionary minded as well as militant minded.
Okay.
And when you're militant, you know that you leave nothing to chance. You have to teach our children, and what we're failing to do as a people is to teach our children politically. We're not teaching them politics. Okay. We're not giving them a good enough reason to desire to want to learn. Okay. It's not enough for us to tell our children to go to school and get good grades, mm-hmm. and then go to college. You need to tell your children why they need to get good grades, which means that it's not good enough just to get good grades and then go to college, because after you get out and you can have a degree, but you're going to work for somebody, which will make you a slave. We teach our children at Adulfo Coalition that you go to school to get good grades, mm-hmm. and then you further your education so that you can bring back your talents to your community and create a situation where we can be self-sufficient, okay. where we can take care of ourselves, where we can create our own power companies that can provide the lights for our community, where we can have our own plumbing companies. And we do have that. We do have that. I mean, we have a lot of black companies, but we don't have it on a level that is African-minded, that will provide for the needs of black people, mm-hmm. African people. I think it's a tragedy. I think it's a major tragedy that with a people who has over $500 billion of spending power, mm-hmm. but we don't have our own public school system for ourselves. In 2015, we are still being educated by our oppressors, mm-hmm. and we're riding around in Audis and Mercedes-Benz at rates that are, almost every car I see, brothers is riding smooth, but we can't provide education for our children. We're still allowing, need I say, our enemy to teach our children.
Let me ask this, because I do believe that there's a large population of our people who are simply not aware of what's going on. We talked about this with Dr. A, and I think about my I don't know what you call the process where where the butterfly is created.
Metamorphosis.
Yeah. So my metamorphosis, I think about that, and it's still in process. So were you guys, and this is directed toward you first because he answered, have you always been exposed to this amount of knowledge and know who you were, or was it something that you gradually grabbed a hold of during your lifespan?
Okay, yeah, I can expound on that. Me personally, I never really dealt with Europeans like that. I'm from South Florida, mm-hmm. Pompano Beach, Florida. I grew up in a household with my grandmother. My grandmother was from the Carolinas. We never really dealt with them on that level, and we always kind of had like a sense of pride, and we always did our own. Like Where I'm from, everybody has a hustle.
Okay.
And we only like primarily deal with each other. So the Marcus Garveyism was already like kind of instilled in my thought process. So I can say I kind of had these ideals in me like my whole life. So not dealing with the Euros and us trying to create our own businesses and sustain ourselves was always in me.
Okay. So my next question would be this, and this is something that is going to be key. How do you get an individual? Because I know a population of people that they are who they are and they stand for what they stand for, and they have no consideration, they have no desire to, my brother called them tap dancers and watermelon eaters, but when I look at anybody, I don't care if you assaulted me or you don't know, like I was trying to sell my book a couple of years ago, and I was going around to, I got it put in certain black bookstores, but those bookstores, like the one in South Carolina, the one in West End, like those book closers, they closed down. The bookstores are closed down. And so I was going into the shoe stores, I was going wherever I was trying to go to sell my book, and a brother, he was just like, I can't say it because they'll find me, but he was like, such and such, you writing books? Such and such and this, and we almost got into an altercation. So I was like, man, look, I'm gonna give you this book. Just take it, man. Just hold it. Do something with it. You know what I mean? So I know that I feel like I don't care who you are or what's going on. You my brother, and I got an obligation to you. So my question is that is there a certain place? Is there something that you can say to an individual who has absolutely no idea as to the danger that they're in that would possibly lead them to shed some type of light on what it is that we're going through?
You posing that question?
Yes, sir.
Well, from experience, I used to be a real hard head. And I was fortunate enough growing up in Brooklyn, New York, to be surrounded by a lot of diverse mentalities. And, I think that if you are not reared in a set structure, we're going to be exposed to the nonsense. You're going to be exposed to the ignorance. You're going to be exposed to Europeanism. From experience, I was hearing the Jews, getting the knowledge because of my environment. But until wisdom sets in, and understanding / overstanding cannot really be given birth to until a person sees exactly how that knowledge that they're being given or what's being presented to them actually applies to their real life situation. For instance, for the most basic, just to present the most basic example, if you tell a baby the fire is hot, the baby does not really hears you, but does not know the real principles of fire until it actually comes close to the fire or gets burnt by the fire.
Gotcha.
And at that point, then I think that the child is more receptive to the information. And that's the same thing with our people, okay? You can tell the people who their enemy is and all of these things, but a lot of times until they come in contact with a real life situation, they may choose to block that out. But at this current moment, or this present moment, I really don't see how black people as a whole, how we can ignore the facts, because we are being attacked from every side and every angle.
Gotcha. Okay, mass media. It is in my part. I was thinking, I don't read comic books, but I talk to people, all kinds of people. And I was like, you know what? If I could be a superhero, I would be the superhero that would kidnap Lil Wayne. I would kidnap Young Thug, and then I would write their lyrics, because you know what? I see, it's crazy, and I'm just thinking out loud. This is my show, so I do what I want to do. I watch the Boondocks all the time, and there's a character on the Boondocks called Thugnificent. And then Thugnificent, this is what took place now. Thugnificent was a homosexual, and he had certain types of, this was a couple of years, because the show is not even on air anymore except for on Netflix, but he wore a certain kind of clothing. He had a song called Homies Over Hoes, excuse my language, but and it was a gay rapper. It was a gay rapper who was a thug. And in my mind, I think about now, that was like 5 years ago. Now we actually have a Thugnificent to one degree or another. And then like in Atlanta right now, you gotta be a blood. You gotta be in the game. It's like you have so much, and I see so many people with the nose ring. I'm not saying that's not what everybody, that's why everybody has it, but a lot of characteristics that this individual has, they got them now. The Ugg boots and all this old stuff, and the blouses that look like shirts. And I'm not taking nothing away from this brother, his creativity. He's still my brother, but he ain't been exposed to some things that I would like to expose him to. So my question is this. and again, I'm thinking out loud, and I think about the guy the police officer, they say the ex-police officer, but the police officer that raped those 13 to 14 black females, and they just sentenced him to 264 years, but it wasn't on CNN, it wasn't on Fox, it's not something that they want our people or anybody to take into consideration. So my question, I'm saying all that to ask this question: how big of an impact does mass media have on how we look at ourselves, how other people look at us, and what can be done about that situation?
Yeah, this is Brother Sancho. I'm gonna go ahead and chime in on that. What we're looking at right now is hundreds, thousands of years of the new world order now clicking on all cylinders. Really, what they're trying to turn this thing into, it's all about control. If I can turn these men into women, you know, I can control the society. And see, that's what it's all about. Essentially, everything that we deal with is control. And really, the only way to combat that is to show these males positive, strong, masculine examples. That's the only way to combat that. We have to actually go down in the gutter. We can't keep sitting on the sidelines talking about what needs to be done. We actually have to go into these communities, walk around these neighborhoods, talk to these guys, you know, find out what issues they're facing, and just show them examples. And that's what we do at Adulfo Coalition. We work with the youth. You know, we show them strong examples, and we teach them supreme mathematics. 1 + 2 is 3. Man, woman, and child. That's what we're about. So we have to show these kids the examples and be strong male images.
So you guys have a mentoring program there?
Yes, we do. Yes. Every Saturday at West End Park. We teach self-defense. Now, that's just one part of what we do, but it's so much more than that. It's more than that. We instill, you know, African pride in these kids. You know, we let them know where they came from. See, a lot of times, the youth doesn't know their history. If they know their history, they know how great of a past that we came from. You know, more than likely, they wouldn't want to let their ancestors down.
Yeah.
You know, if they know how great they are, why would you want to be less than great? You know, so it's all about the examples. We teach them self-defense. We go over African proverbs. You know, we right now we're in the developing stages of a school. We have a curriculum wrote down. You know, but it's all about the images: man, woman, and child, showing them strong examples.
Let me ask you this: if we have some listeners and they got sons, I deal with at-risk teens all the time, man. I'm getting phone calls, and most of the times I send them to Omar because I know that's 24/7. I can call his phone and he's gonna jump on it. How would a mother or a father go about in getting their children or even themselves involved in your program?
All they have to do is come to the West End Park every Saturday from 11 to 1:30. There's no fee. Only thing we ask you to bring is just a positive attitude and be ready to work. That's all we're about. You know, come with the positivity, no negativity. Come to learn. You know, pay attention to the instructor, and that's all we're about. But we meet every Saturday from 11 to 1:30, West End Park.
Gotcha.
I would like to chime in real quick, if I may, because I want to deal with the etymology. Is that the correct word? As far as
what does that word mean?
Well, when you're dealing with the specific definitions and breakdown of a word, when it comes down to how we define ourselves, I would like to divorce Adolfo from the word mentor, because as taught by the elder, Baba Baruti, he has a book called Homosexuality and the Effeminization of African Males. And in that book, the word mentor derives from a Greek homosexual god. And mentor was actually the foundation of whenever the males, European males, wanted to break in their sons as far as pedophilia or pederasty, mentor was the one who they would leave their children with to do this. So in the African culture, we prefer to deal with terms as such as Adolfo, Asafo, or Jegna, or Ginok, which is the plural form of Jegna. Because in getting back to ourselves, we have to start realigning ourselves back with words that come from our languages, our concepts, so that way we can define ourselves more clearly in the people's eyes and inside our own lives as a people. Because if we continue to identify and to define ourselves by way of European terminologies, then we're going to continue to miss our true objectives.
I want to piggyback off that as well. Brother's absolutely correct. the god Mentor, which was a Greek god, was actually the god of knowledge. He was known as the god of knowledge, and when men or women wanted to get their son's mind right, you feel me, and really understand the ways of being Greek, of being a Greek and growing up in the Roman church, they would bring their son to Mentor. And the fee for him teaching your son would be for him to have his way with your son.
Precisely.
And that is where the word mentor is derived from.
You know, I'm never at a loss of words except for when I talk to this brother on the phone. And like now I'm just like, sometimes when you're exposed to information, man, it's just silence, because you gotta soak that in. You gotta redefine stuff. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go to one of our callers, man. This is a session right here. It's a situation where I stopped being an interviewer and I just started listening. If we could sit here all day, man, I would be eating this up. And if my pen worked, I could write more of this stuff down. So we're gonna go. What button do I press? The one flashing. The one that's flashing. We're gonna try it. This is Instinct Radio. You're tuned into the Dana Butler Show.
Hey, how y'all doing, man?
We all right, brother. What's going on with you?
Like Paul.
I can't call it, man. I've been listening to the dialogue here and there that y'all are currently having, and I would like to address something in regards to, you know, what's going on in the black community and why we are not thriving the way that we should, and why our race is not going forward. Actually, it's going backwards. And I feel as though that if black men really channel in onto what's really going on and why our race continues to face the same problem, even though we have all of these events like the Million Man March, and we still go back to doing the same thing that we was doing, it's because these black men will not check this black woman. They will not call out this black woman for her debauchery, for her taking part ownership into this black male's dysfunction, for her being the co-conspirator in this black male's demise. A lot of these pro-blacks, even that is one of my main beefs with the pro-blacks. I'm all for black empowerment.
Caller, what's your name?
You know. Hello?
What's your name, brother?
My name's Curtis, man.
Okay. Keep going.
And I'm all for black empowerment for as wise, you know, black businesses and people supporting, you know, their own businesses in their communities or whatever. But the reason why that will never happen is because this black male will not step up to the plate and address this black woman.
I would like to reply.
Happen.
Okay, come on with it.
All right, brother Curtis. Thank you for calling in and giving your comment, brother. First off, I want to start by saying I'm gonna start off with the quote from Malcolm X, that the black woman is the most unprotected person in the world. Mm-hmm. The black woman is the most disrespected person in the world. The black woman is a representation of the black man. We're weak right now. So if brothers or anybody feels a certain type of way about the black woman, they need to first look at themselves. Okay. We have not protected the black woman through slavery. We have allowed the white man to rape her, to molest her, and get away with it. Mm-hmm. So now, if anybody should have a feeling of not respecting somebody, it should be the black woman toward the black man. Because we have not done our job. We have not truly and fully unified in a militant way to ensure that there will be repercussions when our people gets touched, whether it's our children or our women. Every other race, the Chinese man, the Indian man, the white man, if you touch one of theirs, there will be consequence. We are the only ones that you can touch us and do us any type of way, and there's no repercussions behind it. They say when you look at a nation of people, you look at the position of the women. You look at the position of the women, and then that can give you an accurate scope of how strong that nation is. When you look at the black woman, she's in a bad position right now. And it's in due part to the weakness of the black man. So, brother, I would say, Curtis, you need to check yourself first, brother. How are your deeds? What are you doing on the weekends? Are you getting up early and giving yourself to your community? Are you going to strip clubs? Are you feeding in to the misbehavior of the black woman? You need to ask yourself those questions first, brother, before you attack the black woman.
No disrespect, but Curtis is out of his mind. We feel like the black woman is God. There's no us without the black woman. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of his family. African proverb. You cannot place the blame on one party. We are in this together, and the only way we're going to get through it is together. So, you need to check yourself like the brother said, and I'm a person about character. Even the statement that you made, we need to check the black woman. What do you really mean about checking her? It's not about checking somebody. You need to check yourself.
If you need to check anybody, you need to check the white man. You need to go to the source of your problems.
Okay. Let me chime in on something. I appreciate y'all brothers standing in the community, especially over here in this area, man, because we know this area has some serious issues for a long time. Making my stand on what I believe, man, how I allow myself to adapt to some. Before you want to put up. How I've learned, like I said, doing 15 years in prison, I've done that. I've been in the hood, I've been in the street, I've been the wild guy and all this old crazy stuff. But as I begin to learn about myself as a person, and one thing I've learned, when I got out of prison in 2007, one of the things that bothered me the most is the disrespect of our black women, especially from black men. Especially from black men. And it seems the more we get, the more and more time expands and we don't put a stop to it, the worse it's getting. Because now when you see even women disrespect their own selves, of course, you see a woman being disrespected, but we disrespect ourselves, and it seems like no one seems to come to a conclusion, understand, except that we're disrespecting ourselves, women disrespecting themselves, we all disrespecting each other, and it seems like we can't seem to find a good solution for this. But I think we all know the solution. We're gonna have to make some change in that part. Now, but the point I wanted to make about was, we can build powerful institutions, black power companies. We can build all this up, and it can be wonderful. What I have learned, man, it's just you're gonna find evil people in the world, man. I don't care what color it is. I don't care if they purple, green, blue. You've had white men that have destroyed some black life, but if you go back to Africa, it's black men that raped other black women. It's the nature of our lives sometimes. We've all been men. We all been trying to be righteous at one time. And I had dialogue with some men the other day, and they were like, why is all these shit we going in the community? Well, we got to stop screwing all these women having all these kids, man, and not respecting our women. Because one thing, we disrespect ourselves for doing it, granted, but then we also disrespect our women too because we jump from bed to bed. That's where I think a lot of our problems come from, because we haven't learned how to discipline our lives here. We haven't learned how to discipline our character development. And so we got to definitely teach our young men about character and how to respect first yourself, because really there's a lot going on out here, man. There's diseases going out here, man. And then when you're having kids on top of kids and you ain't taking care of these kids, man, that's another problem. So it leaves another brother to have to step in place and be the positive. And I love what you said, man. We need to have some masculinity, males. Man, we were just talking about today, me and some ladies before we walked here. I was looking at a man in certain trailer. Back in the day, certain cars we wouldn't even drive because it looked too feminine. Right. You know what I'm saying? I had spirits like, man, you can't be driving that like that, bro. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? There were certain cars we wouldn't even drive. Yeah. Like if it didn't have muscle cars like me, we grew up in the Cadillacs and of course you didn't see too many girls driving on Cadillac. They got their type. Of course, even the clothing, even down to where we talk and speak, the way we greet each other. We've seen so many things change, but at the end of the day, man, I do believe, man, individual, man, people, we're going to find, regardless of, we turn the whole Georgia into all black and you're going to find evil people in the world, man. It's just some people that's just going to be rotten to the core. And, of course, we got to deal with it, I guess, accordingly. We have to deal with people. Because, like, you go and I seen the country, I think the dude had raped some women. Man, they stretched him out, all the men. Stretched them out and they whooped him, man. They put sticks on him and they dealt with that situation. Absolutely. You see what I'm saying? And I think, I'm not saying that, Well, I guess you can't. You got to go to that extreme. I was about to say you might don't need to go, but I guess you probably do have to go to that extreme. You know what I'm saying? And that maybe will stop some things. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna have evil people in the world, man. And I just think, regardless, we talk about how strong our race was, man, but everybody wasn't a king. There was some slaves there that them kings didn't care nothing about. You see what I'm saying? So as I grew up, and I grew up with my parents, and I grew up in a racist part of Alabama. I grew up in Auburn, Alabama. It was racist there. One thing I appreciate about my grandmother, she didn't teach racism in that house. And she wouldn't let me bring the word nigga in that house. You couldn't say that in that house. Because, she was going to make you respect yourself, and you was going to respect her, and you was going to respect that household. You know what I'm saying? So now, even when I mentor kids, like I teach individuality and how a person treats you. That's how you go. But since I've been out of prison, you know what? It's hard to even say this, but every time I reached out to get help from brothers who had opportunity to help, couldn't get no help.
I want to touch on that. And the reason I want to touch on that, because, I hadn't always had a definition of self. Or my definition was actually defined by others. I took on an identity that was given to me. Like, I hate sports, but because I was 6'3", I played football, basketball, and baseball. I played all these sports. I wanted to play the violin and had one. I went to Eastlake Elementary, and I don't know if you know what Eastlake is, but you can't walk home with no violin. So I had to fight, and then, they broke my violin, so I was like, I want to play basketball. And then, like, all my uncles and my dad, they 6'3", they like military men, big dudes. So when I played basketball, when I played the violin, I got absolutely no attention. But then when I played basketball, it was just like, good job. So I started to identify with the ball players. I started living that life when that was not who I actually was. And I think that, unfortunately, whether they be in, political formats or have a microphone or be rappers, I think a lot of us have not identified with who or what we are. And then within that, I've been disrespectful to all kinds of people, to people who had my best interests at heart. I've been in situations where I would put the pistol on you because I thought that that's what my calling was at one point in time in my life. So my whole thing is that, a lot of times we disrespect and we get disrespected and we disrespect ourselves. But I think that when I look at a problem, I try to think about where that problem derived from. For myself, you know what? I didn't know this was my sister. I didn't know this was my queen. But the more that I hang around people who have a different kind of mindset, I'm not saying that I change overnight, but every day if I try, like when I talk to this brother right here, I have to stop doing the conversation. Not because he's long-winded, but because he give me so much food, I can't fit it all on my plate. You see what I'm saying? So I have to take a little bit of it, because it's frightening to one degree or another. When you just drop this mental thing on me, it was like, man, we was about to show enough push the ball on this, and now I got to go back. Of course, I'm a research, and now I got to find out what's going on. But now it's causing me to question every word that I use. And then if I don't do that, then what he's doing is in vain, and then I'm not leaving myself open for solutions. I could go on, and we can listen, and we can talk. What I want to do right now is I want to go to one of our listeners. We're going to hear what they got to say, man. Hopefully they can add something to the conversation. Thank you for listening to Instinct Radio. This is the Dana Butler Show.
This is Houston, Texas, calling in again.
All right, then.
Okay.
Sister Nikki.
I just wanted to thank you all for standing up for the black woman. Bravo, brothers, bravo.
Madasi.
You said exactly. I think what you said, you truly said how the black woman feels. And the black woman definitely feels like we're constantly under attack. And it's enough to be attacked by the outside, but then to be attacked by our own brothers on a regular basis does not make things any better for us as a people or as individuals. So I want to thank you all on behalf of every black woman, especially every black woman that still believes in black love and stands behind the black man. I want to thank you so much for your thesis as a black woman. I was encouraged just by what you said alone. Thank you so much.
Asante Sana.
Thank you for calling in, sister.
Peace, sister.
Picking up from our sister, I really want to thank you guys for standing up so strongly for women, because woman is the glory of a man, not the other way around. When people look at the woman, they can tell what type of a husband she is. She represents him. She represents his honor. She represents his wealth. She represents his glory. that means that man is responsible for his woman. And as Africans deal more with responsibility than they deal with anything else. The reality of a man being the head of the house and being the provider, the protector of his family. But moving a little further in, we have to be careful that we don't define ourselves from the outside in, because that's where all these problems came from to start with. It's this idea that we looked at ourselves and looked at our color and we've put ourselves in one little corner. They put us in that box, but we have to take ourselves out of that box. What are you guys doing to help people define themselves from inside out, rather than just focusing on white supremacy as the enemy? Because once you have an enemy, you engage a war that is perpetual. You don't want people engaging in a war. You want people to be free. You want people to be sovereign, is what I read on your page. You want people to be free to walk in autonomy. And that takes responsibility. So apart from emphasizing this enemy thing, what are you doing to actually emphasize the inside-out description of people? Rather than describing myself as a black person, I can describe myself by what I am on the inside, who I am, and pulling from him. Knowing who you are is what makes a difference, because if you don't know who you are, doesn't matter what type of group you belong to, you still fall below the radar. You'll never be able to find the fulfillment and the happiness that you are looking for. And since this is about liberation and bringing the black community into the fullness of their glory, what are you guys doing to help people stop defining themselves from outside and start defining themselves from inside?
Great question, Queen. Adulfo Coalition, we pride ourselves on being a solution-based organization and program. We're not just concerned with going to events and wearing dashikis and looking the part. We getting our hands dirty. Every week we have at the end of the session, we have what we call proverbs, where we allow the children to get in a circle and they read proverbs. And from those proverbs, we instill in them self-confidence. And then when they get finished reading the proverbs, we ask them, how do you feel about that? What is your interpretation of that proverb, and how do you feel? And sister, you will be amazed with the self-confidence that exudes out of these children. They are really starting to not just identify themselves as being an African American, but they're truly and fully identifying themselves as being first an African that was taken from their homeland and brought over here. We also feed the homeless. We feed the homeless as well. We have a monthly feed the homeless event where we go to Hurt Park and we have the kids make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and pass them out. And right now at this stage we're really focusing on self-confidence, on instilling in them that you have the power to define yourself.
That's good.
Absolutely. I'm gonna let my brother Sancho and Quadro.
Yeah, and another thing about that is don't get it confused. We understand that the enemy is not just white. So don't let that, enter your mind that that's what we're about. We understand that the oppressor can be black too. And we make sure that we teach our kids that, but it's all about our kids' identification. Mm-hmm. That's what's missing. Every other ethnic race of people, they know their identification. They might say, oh yeah, they born in America, but they'll say, oh yeah, back in the mother country, my grandparents were from Ireland. Or what's different for us? We get our pride from our history too. So that's what we instill in our kids, and that is defining their self. If they can identify with their self and they identify their self with Africa in a positive image, that's what it's about. When they know that where they're from is the original place, they know where the original man came from, Africa, and if they identify with that person, that instills in them a great sense of pride. And that's what we're about at Adulfo, instilling confidence, which is what's missing the most out of our youth.